welcome to the Quantum Leap Your Business and Life podcast. My name is Bethany Londyn, and I am an energetic VC supporting CEOs and entrepreneurs in multiplying revenues and opportunities of their business through intuitive guidance and energetic healing. I am obsessed with finding and releasing blocks so that you can start receiving the guidance and opportunities that will be bringing you quantum leaps with ease. If you are looking to upgrade your business, life, spirituality, or need a perspective shift to flow, you've come to the right place. Leave it to me to pull out the juicy stories, quantum leap hacks, and how our inspiring guests have tackled obstacles and gotten into the flow to reach new heights of success. My intention is to bring clarity and massive awareness that infinite possibilities are everywhere. Your next moment could be a miraculous one. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Let's uncover their strategies, have fun, and see how we can quantum leap together. Welcome to my first podcast. Yay! With the fabulous Elizabeth Yang. I have known her almost a decade now, it feels like, but I guess 8 years or so.
Yeah.
She is the owner of a very successful multi-million family law practice here in California and has achieved so much. She used to be at Raytheon as an electrical engineer. She has 6 books, her first one being a bestseller with Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And she is well on her way. I work with her regularly to being a billionaire. So she is your queen of quantum leaping, and that is what we're up to today. So let's dive in. I would ask you, let's ask you first, what would you say your quantum leap has been in life? Because I have my ideas, but I'd love to hear yours.
Oh my God, that's a great question. There's been so many quantum leaps, and I credit it all to the world of transformation. My first quantum leap, I would say, well, maybe not my first quantum leap, but one of my major quantum leaps was starting my own business and expanding into all the different areas of law that we currently cover. So I started out my career as an engineer and somehow quantum leaped into becoming an attorney, which is,
yeah, those don't really go together to me. Well, yeah, especially from the the family law side with the. So yeah, what led you to that magical leap?
Family law took a couple of leaps. So from engineering to law, so my undergrad was electrical engineering and computer science. And my first area of law when I graduated law school was intellectual property. So that was actually a pretty predictable transition. After I got into IP, I found out that many IP attorneys actually have engineering backgrounds. So that made sense. And then after I became an IP attorney, how I got into family law was during my divorce. They say breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. So my 4-year divorce was probably one of the biggest breakdowns in my life and one of the toughest challenges I went through. During those 4 years, if you ask me, why are you going through this? What's the end of the light at the end of the tunnel? I'll be like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know why I'm going.
So you were just like in the muck of it, just like going day by day. Like, I'm just curious what was going on in your mind during that process. I mean, I went through an ugly divorce too, so I get it.
Yeah. Well, my whole bedroom was filled with my own court papers. I was like inundated with court hearing after court hearing. It was really nasty. Like,
so you were literally sleeping in it too.
Pretty much. I was sleeping in it or not sleeping, losing sleep over it. Both. Yeah. So it was a long ordeal. 4 years of the divorce when the marriage only lasted 1.5 years because we had 2 kids out of it. So it's like taking care of the kids on top of the attorney fees and all that.
And what were you doing for work at that time? That was the
I had just started out my own practice. So I was pretty new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, didn't really have a stable income, starving entrepreneur,
Yes.
trying to get my own clients, trying to make it work and trying to make this divorce go away.
Yeah. Putting on a
Yeah,
happy face for your clients.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, fast forward after the divorce finished, basically looking back, it was a 4-year education in family law. And I
Mm.
became so well versed in family law that it only made sense to add it to one of my areas of practice. So I
Yeah.
added family law into my law firm practice area. And during the pandemic, the last 2-3 years, family law cases skyrocketed. There's been so many family law cases. It's crazy. Our phones are ringing off the hook, and the IP cases actually went down. If we had only depended on IP cases to survive in the pandemic, our law firm probably would have gone under. But it's been family law that's been,
And what
helping
is, I'm curious, like, what is the time frame from you going from, like, let's say on your bedroom floor going through all this paperwork to being a multi-million-dollar company? I'm
So my
curious what.
divorce, I filed for divorce in 2010. The
Mhm.
divorce lasted 4 years. So I ended the divorce in 2014.
Okay.
And then in 2016, I split up from my business partner and came out on my own and really got into family law. So it was mainly the last 5 or 6 years that I've grown my practice to where it is now.
Catapulted. Yeah. You
Yes.
have like 30 employees. Is that?
30 employees approximately and
Yeah.
5 virtual assistants.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm still growing.
So how did I know you've done a lot of personal development, and I know there's a lot of CEOs and whatnot out there that may not dive into that space just yet. So how would you say that has supported you in actually attracting all this business? Or do you think that there's a correlation at all?
Oh, there's definitely a correlation. I think there's a correlation in everything and anything. Um, so Beth and I work with you on a very energetic level, and I know how important it is to clear energy in the corporate world. Things happen so often in our world that sometimes unexplainable, something unpredictable just completely happens out of the blue, like miracles happen. And so it's so important to clear energy, because otherwise random things will happen that could just devastate the business, or random things can happen that could just elevate the business. And I feel like a lot of the stuff is out of our control. Like the success of my business right now depended on the pandemic happening. That's not
Yeah.
in my control. I couldn't
I didn't know
control.
that. I didn't know that part of it. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it depended on couples quarantining and getting
Yeah.
sick of each other. And then that's why they wanted to file.
Yeah.
It depends on our economy, on our industry. It depends on so many things that I feel like are out of our control. And so it's really important for business owners to have clear energy, because there's so many elements that affect our business that I feel like are out of our control.
Yeah. Yeah. So surrendering to knowing that you don't completely have control. And then it sounds like you've kind of like swayed and shifted with it as well. So it's like
Mhm.
you're aware of what's happening and willing to jump in any which way.
Yeah, we can, control what we do on a daily basis, how we respond to things, all that we can control. But there's lots of entrepreneurs out there that respond well, they're smart, and they still
Yeah.
fail.
Yes, this is
So
true.
there's so many elements, and the timing's gotta be right. The people's got to be right. Like if I put out a job posting today versus a month from today, I'm going to get different people applying for the jobs. I can't control who applies and what candidates I get and,
Right.
whatnot. I can control my job posting. I can control my interviewing skills. I can control who I hire, but I can't control who applies. That is all based on timing and energy.
Right. Yeah. Because if another person was by your side and parallel moving through the timeline with you and trying to build their own family law practice, I'm curious because you've obviously accelerated more than I would say maybe this person over here. So you have this drive about you. You do have like a very open energy already, because I know you've done a lot of clearings, which I also would love to dive into in a minute. But what do you think has supported you in like being this much more above the rest?
I think a lot of investment into personal growth, into getting a lot of support on my side, a lot of coaching to see my blind spots, because I feel like I always have blind spots. There's always things I don't see or can't see. And so I've got a lot of support and people backing me up. So if I fall or if I have a bad day or if my energy is low for some reason, the people around me, they have high energy,
She has an amazing new husband, by the way.
not a new husband, but a new business partner.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, based on the last one.
Oh yeah, a second husband, but he's been my husband for 11 years now. So
oh my God, 11 years. That's amazing.
Not really new husband, but he just started working with me at the firm the last 2 months. Yeah. So that's brand new.
That is brand new. So amazing. Okay. So one of the things that it has really come to me to bring up in these podcasts is I want to tie it to our childhood. So like things that happened before the age of 10, because if you think of like some people, they will be like, I'm a super wealthy person because I never wanted to be poor, because that was something that was happening in my family. So I'm curious if you were to like tie some dots, connect the dots looking backwards, how would you say your childhood supported you in where you are now?
I feel like my child has everything to do with where I am today. So number one, I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. I grew up in, a pretty poor family. My father passed away when I was only 3 years old. So my mom basically had to raise me and my younger brother all by herself. She didn't get remarried until we were in college. So it was just her. And when my dad passed away, she was a homemaker. She had never worked a day in her life. So she was all of a sudden thrown into like this really dark area where she had 2 babies to raise, no husband, no way of making income, and had to just get creative. So we did live off of food stamps and welfare for a while. Did a lot of different schools growing up. So it was very unstable. But one of the things she did with me was that she wanted to make sure that me as her daughter never got put into the same situation as she did. So she made sure my focus was education, getting good grades in school. She actually intentionally kept me out of the kitchen so that I wouldn't get domesticated. And so there would be no way I would ever become somebody's housewife.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Take care of, the family and the kids, that I would be financially independent. Yeah. So I mean, I wish I knew how to cook, but because of her keeping me out of the kitchen, I've got really poor cooking skills now.
Well, and if you really wanted to learn to cook, or you were inspired, you probably would, but it's obviously not there.
Yeah. It's something that I didn't grow up with, like people are like, oh, we've got my grandmother's favorite recipe or this recipe. Like I never had that growing up. No recipes were ever taught to me.
Oh my gosh. So funny. That explains so much. So so that really supported you in like making things happen. Just, I feel like.
Yeah,
right?
being academically inclined, being book smart. She gave me all these different extracurricular activities as well. And then she helped me get some good habits in my life. So every day we had a different class, piano lessons on Mondays,
Mm.
dance lessons on Tuesdays, chess lessons on Wednesdays, voice lessons on Thursdays, tennis on
Wow.
Fridays, like swimming, all these different classes. And I'm doing the same with my kids now, by the way, like they're in all these different classes.
Wow.
But I think that's how I got really, I'm in so many different nonprofits now and so many different activities. And I'm like very knowledgeable in a lot of different things and not afraid to try new things. So I
Yeah.
really feel like it's childhood, like it shapes who you are.
So I'm curious though, if you were to go back, did you love that? Did you love like doing something new every single day? And like you did.
I think I did, yeah, because I
Okay.
love doing that today. Like
Okay.
I'm the type who can't sit still. If I've got a lot
Yes.
going on, it's great and I'm happy and I'm like, this is exciting and fun.
Got
Yeah,
it.
so I think based on how I'm still creating that today, I feel like it's something that I've enjoyed. Because otherwise, I feel like if there's something in our childhoods that's really something we don't like, as we grow up, we're like, okay, that's something we definitely don't want to do. Like
Right.
that's something I'm going to stay away from.
Yeah. And you're in experiencing so many different things, you're able to like lean in the direction, like you were in the engineering and then you leaned into law, because my
Exactly.
guess is you were intrigued by it in some way, shape, or form through the experience you went
Mhm.
through.
Yeah, well, adaptability is another aspect that I gained from having so many different schools. So I went through like 4 different elementary schools,
Oh my
2
goodness.
different middle schools until we finally moved to a stable area when I was in 7th grade. And then I went through the same high
Yeah.
school. But every time I switched, I mean, you know how nasty elementary school and middle school kids can be. They're like, oh, the new kid again. And
Mhm.
I didn't have my circle of friends, would it be the new person. And I was actually very introverted when I was a child. I had no social skills, didn't know how to make friends. Language was even a barrier because my mom only taught me Chinese at home, even though I was
Mhm.
born in the United States. I didn't know any English when I went to school. So I didn't know how to talk to people. There's a language barrier, didn't know how to make friends,
Yeah.
got bullied a lot. And just when I felt like I had made some friends, boom, we changed to another school and I had to leave all that behind and brand new again. Did that 4 times in elementary school. So every time I felt like I made a friend, boom, new school. And
Yeah.
so
I would say you're pretty outgoing. So I'm wondering, did that support you in becoming outgoing then, maybe?
I did not become outgoing until after college, until after I entered the working world. Yeah,
Oh.
even in college, I kept to myself. One of the reasons I graduated college in 2.5 years was because I could not wait to just get out of there and go back home. I was like, I want to go
Mm.
home. I don't want to be away from my comfort zone. I don't like living in the dorms alone with new people, like just not comfortable. And so I was like, I'm just gonna get all my credits done so I can be out of here and go
Wait,
home.
so you did engineering in 2.5 years?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
I
That sounds like a quantum leap.
yeah, that was a
Like,
quantum leap too.
most people, I think it's 5. Isn't it 5?
4 years
Well,
on
oh, it is
average,
4.
sometimes
Okay.
5 for college. Yeah. But
Wow. Insane.
yeah.
So
And
what
so
broke you through to the being outgoing?
so when I got into the working world, I
Yeah.
realized if I kept quiet, kept to myself, I wasn't gonna climb the
Okay.
corporate ladder. Yeah, you have to speak up, you gotta lead, you gotta make yourself sing in order to be successful at work in the working world.
So did you discover that on your own? Like, did you coach yourself into that?
I think I did, yeah. And I
Okay.
think maybe just timing, maybe I was a late bloomer and didn't really bloom until I got to, my 20s when I was working. Yeah. So during that time, I met friends at Raytheon. Um, there was not very many women there because engineering, it's a world full of men. So we had a few women in Raytheon and we just stuck together. Like we just clicked and we stuck together because it was just us and we got really close and we started traveling. We actually started partying together. That's when I actually started going out and learning how to go clubbing and dancing and hanging out with friends. Like never did that in college.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of my engineering girlfriends, they were the same way too. They came from families that just made them study, get good grades, didn't really have fun, didn't have social skills. And now that they were working and finally free, that's when we all started to party and get it out of our system.
Got it. Well, in talking about all of that, I would like to bring up one more thing before we start closing it out. Because I know a lot of the CEOs that I work with, it's like all the weight is on their shoulders. It's very stressful. Sometimes they aren't very present with their family, or they only show up to like certain things because they're just so inundated with like paying all the bills and paying all their employees' bills and all that. So I feel like you do a phenomenal job at being with your family. Your real family, it's all real family. But like your kids, and then like also your like other family, all your other family and friends, like you have it figured out as far as balance. I mean, I don't know if you feel that way, but from like an outsider, it seems like you do.
I definitely, I prioritize the work-life balance. So when I was working at the big law firms, I was billing the requirement, 2,000 hours a year, working 80 hours a week. And so when I gave birth to my daughter, that first year, I barely saw her. I had a nanny I could afford. I was getting paid a lot of money, but I was never around to see my daughter. I'd be at work before she even woke up. And then by the time I got home, she was asleep. So I was like, you know what, if I'm going to continue this, my daughter's going to grow up thinking that our nanny is her mom. And so I left the corporate world and started my own business. And the main reason was to get work-life balance, to get flexibility in my schedule. And so now that I have my own business, I'm like, I'm not going to create the same life that I did working for a big law firm. Now I can leave the office, take my kids to their activities. I can pick them up from school, and I can schedule my meetings around my family and around fun, because what's the point of working so hard if we can't enjoy it? So I make sure that, I live to travel and to eat. Those are my two passions.
Lives it up.
Traveling and eating are my two big passions. So I make sure I make time to travel and to dine out at good new restaurants all the time.
Yes, you do. How many hours a week do you say that you work now, would you say?
I work all the time. Like I don't even count how many hours, but I don't see it as working because I'm building my business, my baby, and my daughter is interested in becoming an attorney. So it's like, I'm working on this gift to give her when she gets old enough to take it over.
Wow, that's amazing. Wait, how old is she?
She's 13.
That's what I thought. I'm like, wow. Okay. You're inspiring her. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So she's, and my little cousin, she just completed her summer internship at my office. And so I'm inspiring people to want to become an attorneys.
Yes. You guys need to follow Liz or Elizabeth Yang, and we'll have all this stuff in the show notes later. But if you were, this is going to be my question for the podcast. If you were to look back, connect all the dots, like we were talking, what would be 3 keys to quantum leaping?
I think number 1 is getting coaching or support from somewhere, because a lot of the quantum leaps, it's in our space, but sometimes we can't see it. And that's why I take so many seminars. I go to all these personal development classes and trainings, and I get coaching because it gives me ideas that's maybe stuck in the back of my head or in my subconscious, and this stuff will pull it out. So
how many coaches do you work with?
I have a daily coach, a weekly coach, and you're my monthly coach. Yeah, I've got my daily coach that I call every morning, 10 to 15 minutes. And she's like, okay, what are you declaring for today? What are you creating? What are you grateful for? You know, gets me all pumped up for the day.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So your 2 other keys.
Say yes as much as you can, because the universe, it'll bring things to your space. And it's up to you to say yes or not. And I feel like any opportunity that the universe poses to us, there's a reason behind it. Yeah. So I just say yes as often as I possibly can.
Amazing. That's a good practice for sure.
Yep. And then I don't know, a third one. I guess third one, quantum leaping, is to stay organized. So staying organized, like there's so many people out there that have bad organization skills. And for me, like I've got my whole schedule written down. I plan it by every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. What am I doing? What am I up to? I've got all my emails organized. So I make sure I don't miss emails. I know when to follow up. I know what gets to be done. Nothing falls through the cracks. So I feel like staying organized, especially in today's day and age when we've got so much information coming at us through text, through Facebook, social media, email, phone calls, voice messages, computers, like there's so many avenues. So being able to organize everything and not miss things is really important. I'm so grateful for being able to like voice to text now and be like, hey Siri, add this to my calendar right after a phone call. Cause it's like, if I'm driving or something, oh my God, my phone just like activated. Then it will automatically like place it there. Cause if I wait to the time I like get to wherever I'm going, I might lose it. Exactly. Like, or thoughts are just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So like, if I don't do it immediately or write it down immediately, I'm going to forget it. And like, did you just freeze up? One thing I wanted to share regarding the yes really quick that you shared is I used to work with a coach and he was like, say yes, because if the more you say yes, the more opportunities will be handed. So we'll get more and more opportunities. So even if someone's offering you a slice of pizza and you don't do dairy, it's an opportunity to be like, yes, I'll have that slice of pizza, even though I don't really want the pizza, because even if it's just a little bite that you take, then you're getting the yes. You're saying yes to the universe and basically like, thank you for providing opportunities. So anyway,
my laptop just died. So
I know it just froze up.
My phone.
All good. We're just finishing up. Well, it's been amazing having you for my first podcast. Thank you so much. If you want to find Liz, I will be tagging everything in the show notes on my website, BethanyLondyn.com. But if you want to share where people can find you as well, Liz, here that are listening.
Yes. They can go to yanglawoffices.com, or my Instagram is also at Yang Law Offices.
Okay, both. And follow her. She's amazing. She's so inspiring. She is always traveling and eating. And you're like, how does she do this and have her company? It is, well, I mean, I feel like you're gone almost every other month.
I aim to travel at least once a month.
There you go. There you go. She accomplishes it all, and a beautiful family and friends. And I'm so blessed to have you in my life as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have you on when you quantum leap to the next level.
Absolutely. Yes. Mass torch.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe and let me know by leaving a review on iTunes. It fuels me to keep bringing you more juicy guests. And if you aren't already following me on social media, check out @BethanyLondyn on Instagram, LONDYN, that's a cool factor, or go to BethanyLondyn.com for healing opportunities, courses, and additional thoughts. And don't hesitate to create some IG stories tagging me and our guests with your favorite quotes so we can reshare them. I can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, wishing you that quantum leap.